town or across the country. Visit afr.net or your app store today.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Robert Thornton. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin are preparing for their summit in Alaska tomorrow. Here's Fox's Jackie Heinrich.
Both presidents are really trying to set the table for this meeting. President Trump saying his goal is that things go well enough that he can call Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky and immediately set up a second meeting, a three-way meeting.
The second meeting is going to be very, very important because that's going to be a meeting where they make a deal, and I don't want to use the word divvy things up, but, to a certain extent, it's not a bad term, okay?
He also said an immediate ceasefire or an agreement to have Russia stop its attacks on civilians is probably not a realistic result of this first meeting, although he reportedly told European leaders that he would push for that.
President Trump has said there could be severe consequences if Russia does not agree to end the war in Ukraine. Fox Weather says Tropical Storm Aaron is now starting to become better organized and could rapidly intensify. Fox Weather's Bob Van Dillen and Stephen Morgan.
So if you live in Puerto Rico, it's going to be sometime Saturday afternoon, maybe late in the morning, early afternoon, where you start seeing those winds pick up. Saturday.
And we'll have these bands as this thing begins to organize and rapidly intensify that will be spreading out from the center. So it won't just be the center that's going to carry those winds.
It's going to be a broad one.
Most forecast models for now keep the storm away from the east coast of the U.S., but some move the system more to the west. So it's advised that those along the east coast monitor the storm. Fuming faculty at Northwestern University in Illinois sent an open letter calling on the school's leadership to reject any proposal from the Trump administration. Here's AFN's Bob Kellogg.
The Northwestern Concerned Faculty Group is digging in its heels, opposing any Trump administration agreement that would release the nearly $800 million in frozen federal funds. Lori Higgins of Breakthrough Ideas.
What the Trump administration is saying is you have to stop this woeful indoctrination. Everyone who's honest will say they recognize that colleges and universities have a strong ideological bias. And actually their bias now is harming Jewish kids.
Higgins believes it may be Resolute alumni who will eventually end this standoff.
You never can tell where this is going to go. If you get a lot of pressure from alumni who are saying, no, we're not going to donate to Northwestern anymore. If the Board of Trustees gets a lot of flack from alumni donors who are saying, we're going to take our money away from Northwestern, then you might see some movement there.
Northwestern has admitted they've implemented spending cuts and staff reductions because of the Trump administration's funding freeze. I'm Bob Kellogg.
The Texas Tribune reports an Illinois court rejected Texas's request to enforce arrest warrants against House Democrats who fled to avoid a vote on a GOP redistricting plan. The judge's ruling said that the Texas Speaker and Attorney General had failed to present a legal basis for the court to take up the issue. House Speaker Dustin Burrows issued civil arrest warrants August 4th for dozens of House Democrats. A warning now about AI, as advice by ChatGPT sends a man to the hospital with chemical poisoning. Fox's Chris DeMeo reports.
The Annals of Internal Medicine reporting the 60-year-old man was looking to eliminate table salt from his diet and used the large language model to get suggestions on what to replace it with. ChatGPT suggested swapping sodium chloride, which is used for table salt, for sodium bromide. The article noting the recommendation was likely referring to use it for other purposes, like cleaning. The man was hospitalized after experiencing fatigue, facial acne, and other symptoms. He was released after 3 weeks of monitoring. Chris DeMeo, Fox News.
The Labor Department said that its Producer Price Index, which measures inflation before it hits consumers, was almost up 1% last month from June and 3.3% from a year earlier. And stocks were lower today as a result, according to analysts. And that is all our time for now. We invite you to find more news at afn.net. And we do thank you for listening. I'm Robert Thornton.
The loss of a child through abortion, miscarriage, or stillbirth affects the emotional health of families. Feelings of anger, sadness, and regret can be overwhelming. There is hope and healing in the aftermath of a reproductive loss. Call the International Helpline at 866-482-LIFE to talk with someone who has been where you are and healed to help others. Your call is confidential. 866-482-LIFE.
Hello, and welcome to the Dr. Nurse Mama Show, prescribing hope for healthy families here on American Family Radio. Here's your host, Professor, Pediatric Nurse Practitioner, and Mom of 4, Dr. Jessica Peck.
Well, hey there, friends, and welcome to my favorite part of the afternoon, getting to spend time with you, prescribing hope for healthy families. I hope that you joined us yesterday for Worldview Wednesday. If you are a regular listener, first of all, thank you. I appreciate you so very much. You don't even know how much I appreciate you listening in, because it tells me that your heart is to make your family healthy. And I'm so appreciative of that. And if you've been listening in since January, you know we've been doing a series of mini-series. We've had Worldview Wednesday. We have had a Healthy Habit Friday, where we Ask Dr. Nurse Mama Friday, where we talk about habits for healthy families. And we've also been doing the this is your cue, all of those who you are listening. This is another episode of the Declutter Diaries. Yes, we have Kathi Lipp back. So last time that Kathi was on, I got an email from a listener saying I immediately started cleaning out my junk drawer when I heard her voice. So that was really good. We are so excited. Today we're going to be talking about back to school clutter. But listen, why am I doing a series on clutter? Clutter impacts so many people, including me. I've been very transparent in sharing my journey. I am a clutter keeper. I really am. And I am married to an engineer who is not sentimentally attached to much. So there's constant discussion on what is essential to keep and what is not essential to keep. And I've learned so much along the way. I cannot even tell you. And I do see, slowly but surely, I see myself taking my life back. And I hope that you are seeing that too. So if you want to listen to any of the past shows, do that. If you want to join Kathy's Facebook page, you can. Just tell them that you're our people. She will let you in, she has already said, and we'll give you lots more ways to find her. And there is an even deeper step that you can take to be a member of her community. But it is so amazing how quickly clutter sneaks up on us. It's just one school paper here. It's a backpack there. And before you know it, the kitchen table looks like a storage unit. It looks like a preschool classroom. It looks like a Amazon packing plant. I am telling you, I am right in the middle of that. But clutter isn't just about the mess that we see. Studies show clutter raises stress levels, it hinders focus, and it even sparks family arguments. I've definitely been there. And as the school year begins, I know there are so many families out there who are thinking, this is the year. We are going to be organized. The backpack is not going to have moldy oranges. And, this is going to be our homework station. And everybody's going to file their folder here neatly. Those are our aspirations. And we want to equip you to create spaces that foster calm instead of chaos. So today we're talking about the hidden toll of back to school clutter and the surprising ways it can affect your family's mood, motivation, and even their grades, your kids' grades. Yeah, we'll talk about that. So Kathi, welcome back. So glad to have you back for my monthly therapy session. I appreciate it.
I love this so much. I love that we can have these real conversations, because I do lead a very big group of cluttery people, but I don't get a lot of one-on-one conversation. And you and Stephanie, you guys give me all the feedback, and I just love it so much. It's great. And also, can I just tell you what a service you are doing by being so transparent? Because can we all just agree? We look at Jessica. She's gorgeous. She has the engineer husband. She's a doctor. She's a teacher. She's a radio host. And we just assume your life is issue free. And for you to come out and say, yeah, clutter is something I actually really deal with. We don't get to hear that from people we admire very often. So I think you're doing an even bigger service than you even know, Jessica.
Well, Kathi, like I said, I love this. It's a therapy session. You remind me of a strengths-based approach. I definitely don't have it all together. And clutter is just something I have not been able to get control of, but slowly, but surely I've been learning. I've been working on my 100 spaces to declutter. I've been getting rid of things. I have been taking 10 minutes here and there. And so last time, Kathi, since this is the Declutter Diaries, and I did commit to be transparent, you gave me a challenge. Last month, we talked about don't even bring stuff into your house. And so you challenged me to find 5 things that I would usually bring into my house and that I wouldn't do it. So I want to report back to you. I did this.
Yeah.
It was very eye-opening. So let me tell you the 5 things, okay? These are the 5 things that I actually had on auto ship, okay? Toilet paper, toothbrushes, toothpaste, paper plates, and paper towels. Now, this sounds so silly, but I was like, okay, all right, I'm just going to cancel auto ship and not have those. Kathi, I walk out into my garage and I'm going to send you a photo of this for proof. I literally have stacks of toilet paper that go over my head in my garage. So this told me a couple of things.
Wow.
It told me that I clearly have PTSD from COVID. So I need to let go of that because I think about that. And it told me I was hearing Kathi Lipp's voice in my ear saying, do you not have confidence in yourself to be able to procure these things in a timely manner? Do I not live 5 minutes down the road? Do I not live 1 click away from online delivery that I could get any of these things that I need? I went and looked. We have about 10 extra tubes of toothpaste that are just sitting in a cabinet. I have 30 toothbrushes, okay, that are just sitting there, just waiting, probably with, as many people as I have coming and going in my house with, young adults coming and going, probably 5 would be okay. We have like about 500 paper plates and way more paper towels. So that was really helpful. So there is my report. And I just wanted to have that degree of accountability and transparency for you and for our listeners.
Oh, I love it so much because here's the thing. Eventually, you will need toilet paper again. Let's all be clear. And eventually, there's going to be the need for the toothpaste. But why are we storing those things at our house? Like,
why? Tell me.
Target or Walmart. Yeah, because, I do believe there is some PTSD. My one of the people who works for me was not able to get toilet paper. Like, that was a big deal. She had to go door to door to get some toilet paper for her household. And so I think it's a really good habit, Jessica, to say, okay, you know what, when we get down to we're opening the last thing of toilet paper, let's make sure we have it. Or maybe what we discover is we used to use one of those big Costco things every 2 months. And now it's close to every 3 to 4 months. And so it's reevaluating our new rhythms. And you've got kids going off to college. You've got less consumers in your house. Now, in the summer, it's going to pick back up again. But your day-to-day consumption may be less. I tell you, it is hard for me to resist cooking for a family of 6. This is why we bring food to my neighbors, because I'm still, I'm feeding the nations. And so at some point we need to renegotiate with ourselves, right? That it's like, okay, I still make big meals, but now that lasts me and Roger 2 or 3 meals instead of, the boys finishing the food and saying, what else is there to eat? You're going to have the cardboard from the packaged chicken. Like they would eat anything. And we just don't live like that anymore. So it's reevaluating. You've got kids who are, maybe they are going, they're growing up and they're eating more. That's also a reevaluation. We're always having to adjust and understand what our current needs are.
Kathi, that's so wise. And that's exactly where a lot of families find themselves right here in the month of August, because we're in back to school. And so we have a lot of families who have kids going back to school, and maybe that's a different schedule, a different rhythm, transitions between, preschool, elementary, middle school, high school, and college and the workforce. Maybe we have grandparents who are now keeping kids after school and they weren't, because of just all those changing. You talk about this back to school kind of freak out moment, like where we get really stressed and we have all of the best intentions. So let's talk about this season. What do you see in the back to school chaos for clutter?
Well, first of all, you guys are all getting used to that new schedule. And those, especially for little kids, those little bodies, they are not used to having to sit there and pay attention all day. So they may be coming home and falling asleep in the car. Everybody is out of whack. So I just want to say to all the parents out there, especially these few weeks is the time to give everybody some extra amount of grace. If you are not doing perfectly curated meals right now, it's okay. Like, let's
No
make sure
bento
everybody
boxes.
is fed. Right?
I said,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. When if you are cutting radishes into flowers, first of all, nobody's eating those. And second of all, it's cute the first time. It's time to be done. Now, I love a bento box approach when I can fill it with leftovers, but I am not making sushi teddy bears. That's not happening in our house. Give yourself a break. Like packaged foods, like everyone for this week, they're called yogis, like yogurt covered strawberries. Yes, please. Those are the things that, like, stock yourself up on things that are going to be easy. But here's the other thing I want to say, because I would freak out when my kids were going back to school. I would overbuy. I would overbuy their school supplies. I would overbuy their school clothes. Like, there was such a sense of insecurity as a mom, like wanting to make sure that my kids were prepared. Here's the thing. I probably had enough school supplies left over from last year. They are not wearing their fall back to school clothes in August and September. Let's just take a deep breath and realize we probably have more control than we think we do. We always think of school being so chaotic, but if our homes can be a place of peace, of maybe some lowered expectations for everybody for a little while, that's going to help them at school more than anything probably that the teacher is going to do.
You know, Kathi, I'm so glad that you said that about lowered expectations, because I feel like in this world, we used to just have HGTV and everybody would just watch a TV show and see, Better Homes and Garden magazine. But now we have all of these curated spaces in our face all the time on social media. Right. And even I've seen that even worse since AI, because there are all of these apps that are advertised to me saying, oh, let AI redecorate your home. Just take a picture and, you can have this beautiful space. And I remember when I was a younger mom feeling so much pressure, like that my house had to look like that. And I remember continually going around and karate chopping all the pillows, so they would have those little points on the end and look so perfect. And I remember my husband, who is, brilliant. I mean, he is. And I remember him tapping me on the shoulder saying, you do realize that people actually live here, right? Like, this isn't a show home. This is a real home. And I think as moms especially, we take a lot of that pressure on ourselves, that we feel like we've got to make the house, like we've got to have, like, honey, get out the garage tools because I need you to make me a cubby for all of the backpacks that I saw on Pinterest. How do we resist that temptation? And if you're gifted that way, great, you have it, great. But how do we release ourselves of the pressure and lower that expectation?
So I think the best thing we can do is look outward. So when we become too obsessed about what our home is like, and by the way, I love for my home to look beautiful. That makes me so happy. And I like to invest a little bit of that. But when we start to look towards what other people's expectations are, that's where we get it twisted. So I want to come from a Christ follower perspective, that I want my home to be welcoming. I want it to be comfortable. And if it is too fussy or too fancy, that's a problem. And I think especially in this month of back to school, instead of focusing on our homes and focusing on what level there is, what can we do instead? Maybe your child's teacher needs a little help setting up their room. Go and put all of that energy into say to your teacher, hey, I've got an hour as I pick up my kid from school. Is there anything you would like me to do, or any errands I could run for you?
Oh,
How
my
can
goodness.
we be
Kathy,
outward
hold that
focused?
thought.
Yes.
Hold that thought, because we're already at our first break. You see why we have the Declutter Diaries. We have so much to unclutter in our minds, to unclutter in our lives. Listen, got a lot more to talk about. We'll talk about 5 spaces that you can prep right now for a successful, uncluttered back-to-school journey with Kathi Lipp. See you in just a minute.
The Word of God tells us many times in one form or another, fear not. Many people are very fearful about some of the many perils and dangerous happenings that are going on in the world. Psalm 91 verses 1 and 2 tell us, he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in him I will trust. I'm Joseph Parker, and we here at the American Family Association would like to remind you, fear not, put your trust in the Lord. We'd like to both encourage and challenge you to aggressively put your faith to work. And one way to do that is to pray Psalm 91 daily for yourself and your family, and keep your trust in him. If you'd like to get a copy of the Psalm 91 prayer for yourself, email us here at psalm91@afa.net. Again, that's psalm91@afa.net.
Hey, I'm Brant, and her name is Sherry.
Hello.
She's a friend of mine whom we were just praying for because of a surgery she just went through.
Yes, and I am very happy about something you actually talk about all the time, which is
MediShare.
That is right.
Yeah. So what was your experience like with MediShare and the healthcare bills?
Honestly,
and all that?
Brant, seamless. And what a blessing that is when you're already nervous about a health issue, which I was.
Yeah.
Members shared my expenses. There were 0 problems. And let me tell you, having people pray with you when you call in with your need, that is just...
It is refreshing.
Yes, that's what it is.
That's what I keep telling people. People love MediShare, and they love saving tons of money, too. The typical family can save $500 a month.
I am very thankful for MediShare. It is so different, and I mean different in a very, very good way.
It is good different. Call now. They're easy to talk to, and you can get a price within 2 minutes. Call 833-44-BIBLE. That's 833-44-BIBLE. 833-44-BIBLE.
Here's Dr. Ben Witherington from the American Family Studios documentary, The God Who Speaks.
A Christian, in order to defend the veracity of the Bible, first needs to know the Bible. And unfortunately, we live in an increasingly biblically illiterate world and a biblically illiterate church. To me, this is often discouraging. Our culture is already increasingly turned off by Christianity and Christians. So you don't need to encourage them any further in that direction. So you need to find a way to be persuasive about the truth of the gospel in this particular time, in this particular culture, with your immediate audience. A good font of knowledge of the Bible is critical, but some wisdom about who you're addressing and how to best address them in a persuasive way is key.
Visit thegodwhospeaks.org.
It's so unusual, it's frightening. You see right through the mess inside me, and you call me out to pull me in. You tell me I can start again, and I don't need to keep on hiding. I'm fully known and loved by you. You won't let go, no matter what I do. And it's not one or the other. It's hard truth and ridiculous grace to be known, fully known and loved by you. I'm fully known and loved by you.
Welcome back, friends. That is Known by Taryn Wells. And as I listen to that song, I think about that in relation to the clutter in our homes. How many people know the real you? How is clutter impacting your life? We're back with another episode of the Declutter Diaries. This has quickly become one of my favorite days of the month because as Kathi Lipp and I were just talking, I'm telling you, friends, this subject, it hits a nerve and it goes deep. And I feel like we talk about so many things on the show, but this has just elicited such a listener response. And today we're talking a little bit about back to school clutter, where we know that every parent on this planet knows that morning scramble, knows the search for the missing shoe, sometimes after you've gotten to school, or the misplaced permission slip, or the lunchbox that vanished overnight. These daily hiccups, they can seem small and really, not that big of a deal, but somehow it's a flashpoint. It is a moment of irritation that we have. They drain time, they drain patience, they drain energy. And as back to school season is hitting full swing, we are unpacking strategies to tackle that school clutter monster really head on. From the entryway drop zones to paper management hacks, we're going to give you some practical tips. But before we get there, Kathi and I were just having a really great conversation. I'm so sorry you all missed it. So let me recap it for you because it was really good. Kathi said something that made me stop in my tracks. She said this. She said, we use our stuff to signal to people how they should treat us. Now, how does this relate to clutter? I'm going to tell a brief story, and then Kathi, I'm going to let you help us unpack this, because I think about when I was a young mom, I went to go visit an elderly couple in our church, and I was really excited to go and visit them. I had all my kids dress up, I wanted to make a good impression. And we got there and they sat on the couch and they had a new leather couch. And I had little kids and they were well behaved, but they were little kids and a little rambunctious. And the guests that were there were so worried that my kids were going to scratch the leather. So the whole visit was basically kind of just making sure their shoes didn't go across the leather. And I took their shoes off and all of this, it was just all about this leather couch. And I left there, Kathi, and I felt like about an inch tall. I felt so small. I felt so bad. I was wondering, did I control my kids well enough? And to this couple's credit, the lady did call me and she apologized because she felt so badly about how it had gone. And now I look at that, and I didn't even make this connection until we were talking, but I look at my couch now, Kathi. My couch is a little bit sad. It is. It has had plenty of spills. It has had plenty of teenagers spend the night on it. But you know what? I love that they can come in and they don't have to look at me and say, "Oh, do I have to sit prim and proper?" Because that's how I want them to feel in my home. That's the life stage that I'm in. That's just where I am at right now. I want them to come and flop on the couch and not worry "Oh, am I going to mess this up?" Because it clearly isn't that nice. But I want you to unpack this because this is really profound. We use our stuff to signal to people how they should treat us. Oof, unpack that for us.
Well, first of all, I don't want anybody to feel judged by me for being excited about their new bag. Or, last year it was the Stanley Cup. But we all remember going to school and having the thing. And that signaled we were part of something or we were not part of something. I'll never forget. Okay, this tells you what era I'm from, right? But I'll never forget having a satin blue baseball jacket. I think I was in 4th grade. And it signaled to the world that I could not be cooler. So we were firmly within the disco era at that point. That gives you a little indication. I'm firmly in Gen X. And I understand, as I still want to belong to people. And you think about it, it takes people a while to get to know you as a person, but it only takes a second to see that, that necklace or that bag. I don't even know what the cool bags are. Like the last time I bought a cool bag, I think it was a Michael Kors. So I'm a little out of it, friends. But yeah, it signals to people, oh, she gets it. She knows what's going on. And it takes a little bit for us to be comfortable in our own skin to say, I don't need these outside adornments to show you my value. Now, I still believe clothes tell you something about me. Clothes tell you, but it's not a status thing. It's about approachability. It's really interesting. And I'll just say this, Jessica. For the longest time, people would say, come, talk to me. And they would say things like, I knew you wouldn't judge me. I knew I could tell you. And I was like, what is it? Like they don't even know me. Maybe I don't put my cart back at Target. Like what, how do you know? Jessica, it's because, let me be honest, it's because I struggle with my weight, right? I was born at 10 pounds. It has literally been a lifetime struggle. And I've had some victory over it, but people immediately said, oh, she'll be more accepting of me. Now, I am not suggesting you gain a bunch of weight so people will connect with you better. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm just saying our outsides often signal it gives people their first assumptions about us. And lots of times we don't feel confident in ourselves. So we're buying things to give that first impression. And part of maturity is saying, you know what, I'm going to express who I am by my smile, by my kind words, by, dressing in a way that makes me more approachable, not more impressive.
Kathi, I just appreciate the authenticity and the braveness you have in saying this and just inviting us and just us having this conversation. I think it's so freeing for so many people. And to say that, and I want to echo what you're saying too. It's not wrong to have nice things. It's not wrong to value craftsmanship. I know, my son is really into nice watches. Like he just is fascinated with the craftsmanship of it. That's not wrong. Where it's wrong is when you start to go into debt or you rely on those things to convey your value, where you're more worried and invested in those outer signals than you are the inner signals. And bringing this back to the back to school thing, I think that is what we do a lot of times, even around back to school, because I start to see all of these things where you can build this, Pinterest worthy entryway where you have, all of this organization system or whatever it is. And then even when we're going into school, as moms, we're looking at the kids who have the backpack that's all organized and they get out the color coded folder. And then we see the kids who have, are rolling in looking like, what's the guy, Pigpen from Peanuts? Like he's coming with a dust cloud behind him, right? And the papers are all crumpled in the backpack and the lunch boxes, just all a mess and everything. I think as moms, like we can judge each other and we want our kids to be that picture perfect student. And that is a really good time for a heart check for us. And so I thank you for bringing that to us, Kathi.
Well, I think that we as moms also try to signal to other parents, we're doing okay. Our kids have the right backpack. Our kids have the right bento box. Our kids have the right water thermos. And sometimes those things are the right thing for your child. But oftentimes, are we doing it to impress or to equip? That's the question. And so I want to make sure that my child is equipped with what they need in order to be a successful student, to be a successful learner. And color coordination can only take you so far. And it's probably actually not going to take you far at all. Let's be honest.
It's so true. And, I remember that very clearly, early as a mom. I remember going to one of the parties and, it was early in the morning and I was like barely making it because, I had 4 kids in just about 5 years and it was all that I could do sometimes to get everybody where they need to go. And then you go and you see these moms who like have already been to the gym and they've got like this little smoothie that seems really mystical and some sort of, cup that I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, I think I ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich that was out on the table from last night. Like that's just what I grabbed going out the door. Exactly. Sometimes those things can really get in our heads. And I love what you just said, Kathi. I love it. I want to say it again to make sure our listeners hear that. Are you dressing your kids to impress others and back to school? Or are you equipping them to be a successful student and what they need, what they're going to be comfortable in, what's going to best equip them. I think that's such a great message of hope. And you are going to give us 5 spaces that we can start to think about when we think about this back to school. What are the 5 spaces that we can start to focus on? Thinking about all of these principles we've been talking about, thinking about, just making sure that we have the right heart, the right mindset. What are the 5 spaces to look at?
So first of all, what are your kids going to do with their backpacks? So let's talk about a backpack drop zone. Is this going to be by the front door? Is there a space maybe in, the kitchen? Where are you going to put that? So everybody knows every night and every day where those backpacks are going to go. Now, maybe your child wants to take the backpack to the room so that they can, they're going through all their stuff to do homework. Fine. But let's make sure that after homework is done, that is out where everybody knows where it's going to be. Also, if I, as the parent, want to put things in backpacks, I don't have to go hunting it down. So maybe you need some hooks, maybe you need some baskets, but just know the status of your family and follow accordingly. So that's the first spot. Number 2, what's the lunch strategy? Right. So maybe, we were talking about this over in our Clutter-Free Academy group the other day. There's one mom, she makes 5 sandwiches for her kid at the beginning of the week and sticks them in the freezer. And her kid is fine with that. That's awesome. Maybe your child's a little bit more, of the moment and is taking a bento box and you're packing that. But having a strategy, serving your kids and saying, okay, what are things that we can eat on the repeat that you're actually going to eat? So is it carrots with a little bit of ranch dip? Do you want rice with a little bit of chicken? We can do that. We can do that for a week. Think about those things. Number 3, a labeling station. So at the beginning of the school year, you need to be labeling so many things. Now, not the stuff your kids are taking to school to share. We don't label that. We are part of a community. We donate to the community. That's what we do. But your jacket, your lunchbox, your folder, your binder, your backpack. So, having a couple of things set up, maybe having a labeling machine. You can also order fabric labels off of Amazon. That would be a great place too. Number 4, a clothing check. I want you to get it into the closet. What still fits? What needs to be passed on? Super simple. And then number 5, what are you doing for a family calendar? How are you getting that all synchronized so everybody knows? Because mom isn't the only one who needs to know everybody's calendar. We all need to be responsible for everybody's calendar and knowing what we're doing. So those are the 5 places I would like you to think through before the school year. And if you're like, that's too much, I don't know. Over in Kathi Lipp's Clutter-Free Academy, over in Facebook, next week, we're doing a challenge for all 5 of these areas. So come join us over there. We're going to get you set up for school.
Join. If you have been thinking every time Kathy's been on, oh, I need to do that, but you just haven't done it, this is your sign, because these are things that are really, really important and foundational. And Kathi, what I see is a lot of these things are where the family fights happen. When you when you can't find the backpack in the morning, or you've left you opened your backpack and the folder's on the dining room table, but the paper to sign is in your room and the book is in the living room. All of those things, then you're going to start yelling at your kids during the day. Come on, go get it, go pick it up. Lunch is also such a mom guilt thing. We do. Now, some of you are really gifted, and if you are gifted and that is your gift, if you are a chef or you're just really good at it, great. Bless your kids in that way. We can all bless our kids in unique ways from our gifting. So by all means, please do that and make the lunch for your neighbor's kids too. I'm sure that's a great way to make friends, but it is okay. So I had to learn this, Kathi, that it's okay for my kids to eat the same thing eating every day. It was a nutritious lunch, and I just put the bins in the fridge, and they could just, pull it right out and put it in their lunchbox and go. I think that's so great. Supply labeling station, clothing check, and family calendar sync. And my goodness, Kathi, we're already at our second break, and I have still so many more questions. But when we come back, I want to talk about a few more things. First of all, you're going to tell us about teaching habits that build adults, so not doing everything for kids. I think this is really important conversation to have in back to school, because I see so many parents who are doing everything. And then I remember my daughter telling me as a senior in high school that her friend's mom made her lunch every single day. And she's like, what are you going to do when she goes to college? And she said, I have no idea. So we'll talk about how we can do that. We'll tell you some quick wins and what to let go. And Kathi, I want to go back to ask you about overbuying some of these things that we need for organization, or we think we need. We'll have much more with Kathi Lipp when we come back. Go over to Facebook and find Kathi Lipp's Clutter-Free Academy. Her name is Kathilipp. Kathi Lipp's Clutter-Free Academy. And start your decluttering journey today. We'll see you in just a minute right after this break.
Some would say truth is relative, and to the world, that's right. What the world considers to be truth fluctuates depending on the narrative they're trying to promote. Of course, we know truth is found in Scripture, and it never changes. The documentary, The God Who Speaks, proves the Bible's reliability as the source of real truth and reinforces our belief in it as our firm foundation. Watch it anytime at stream.afa.net. That's stream.afa.net.
The mission of AFA is to inform, equip, and activate individuals and families to strengthen the moral foundations of American culture and to give aid to the church here and abroad in its task in fulfilling the Great Commission. The vision of American Family Association is to be a leading organization in biblical worldview training in the interest of cultural transformation.
Thank you for standing with the American Family Association as we seek to stop the erosion of godly values.
Did you know there's a tool that allows you to make a gift to the American Family Association and receive fixed income payments for life? That's right, it's called a charitable gift annuity. It's simply an agreement between you and AFA that allows you to make a gift of cash or property, perhaps appreciated stock, securities, and in exchange, you receive a charitable donation, a partial income tax deduction, and you'll receive fixed income payments for life for you or you and your spouse and a beneficiary. And then at your death, the American Family Association keeps the gift. It's an incredible way for you to support the culture transforming work of the American Family Association and ensure that continues for generations. If you want to learn more, just contact the team at afafoundation.net.
Please give us a call, 1-800-326-4543, extension 345, or you can visit us at afafoundation.net. We look forward to hearing from you soon.
Do you believe in the absolute inerrancy of God's holy word? Do you believe in the power of the Holy Spirit to radically change lives and empower us to live like Christ? At Wesley Biblical Seminary, we believe God is raising up a movement of people across our nation and across the world who hold fast to the authority of the Bible and the hope of holiness. We are working today to equip tomorrow's pastors and Christian leaders through biblical and theological education in practical ministry that's accredited, affordable, online, and highly personal. Our programs include undergraduate, master's, and doctoral degrees, certificate programs, and even training for lay people. So whatever your next step is in being equipped for ministry, we're here for you. And if you believe these are the kinds of pastors we need leading our churches in the future, we invite you to learn more about partnering with us through giving. Learn more about Wesley Biblical Seminary by visiting us at wbs.edu today.
You might not know it, but somebody's been praying for this very moment. Feels like a whisper, but in heaven it's loud. Oh, don't give up on the ones you love. Oh, just a little faith is enough. Help me to remember my help comes from heaven. God, when I surrender, I find
Welcome back, friends. That is Fight on My Knees by Evan Kraft. And hey, I got a question for you. Are you fighting clutter today? When our homes are overrun with stuff, our schedules usually are too. We live in overscheduled, oversupplied lives many times, and the mental load of managing all of those piles of stuff just robs us of quality time with our kids. But here is the good news. Decluttering isn't just about cleaning. It's about reclaiming moments. And today we are having another episode of the Declutter Diaries, talking with my friend Kathi Lipp. Go over to Kathi Lipp's Clutter-Free Academy on Facebook. You can join that for free and take the challenge that she's going to have for next week and back to school. She is sharing, as always, some practical tips, but more importantly, heart-level encouragement for creating a home environment where connection thrives and stress drops and everyone can breathe a little easier, which is what we all want. We've talked about the 5 spaces you can prep, just looking at that backpack drop zone, a lunch plan strategy, a supply labeling station, clothing checks, and a family calendar. You can do all of those kinds of things. And Kathi, before the break, I said that I was going to ask you just one more time for a little perspective on overbuying, because I do this too and going back to school. I mean, I could probably start my own school because I came from a place where I did not have those things that I needed. I was that student who was sitting in class thinking, I feel like I'm going to be so embarrassed. I've got to ask my friend to give me paper or a pencil or whatever it is that I need that I didn't have. So I tend to overbuy for my kids. And we also buy things, in addition to overbuying, we buy things that we think we're going to use. I did a little digging after the last conversation we had, and I found some articles calling it aspirational clutter. Like things that projects that we think, oh, I'm going to do that, or oh, this is what our after school, snack system is going to look like, but it never works. So how do we reset our hearts? Give us some guidance on overbuying and aspirational clutter in this back to school chaos.
Okay, can we just say us cluttery people, we love to buy a solution, right? I love to buy a solution. Yeah, I know. When I'm pointing
for a problem I may not have,
Jessica. Yeah, you're exactly. I'm pointing one finger at you and 4 back at me. So let's just know that, all right? And so my thought is a couple of things. Buy what you know they will need. So if it's uniforms, is 3 uniforms enough, so that you can have, so you have time to do laundry and things like that. And if you are in a couple of weeks and you're like, ugh, I think we need a little bit more, then you can go buy that. But feel the need before you just feel the need to buy something. I want you to feel the need, feel that lack, right? And then also, us cluttery people, here's the thing I know about us. 1, we can shop, and 2, we are the most generous people in the world. So if you are worried about there not being enough paper, because Jessica, my dad was unemployed most of my childhood. So I feel that need for security and having enough, even though my mom she was amazing at making sure that we did what we, had what we needed as best as she could. But you know what? Your child will probably be okay because that they're going to be well equipped, but there are other kids in that class who are not. So could you buy a couple of reams of paper for the teacher in the classroom and say, whether you want to give this to all the kids or some kids who have a need, I just want to make sure every child in here feels secure with what they need. So, and it's not, here's the thing. I don't want you buying the good pencils for your kid and then donating the others. Like, let's make sure that the kids in the classroom have what they need. So if you are an overbuyer, donate some of that, because there is some kid who really does need it.
That's such a great word. I mean, can you imagine going to the teacher and saying, hey, what needs do you have for your classroom? And then looking at your oversupply, and instead of it just sitting collecting dust, just giving you comfort that you have it just in case, which I have.
Just in case.
Oh, I'll tell you, Kathi, I mean, my son, one of my sons cannot even use all of his closet because I just have all of these school supplies that just have accumulated over the years. I'm really convicted. I'm going to take care of that this month. I really am. But it comes from that place of feeling like I don't have it. And I love that you said that people who have clutter are generous, because that is true, because we know a lot of times, I think, what it's like not to have something, and it gives you so much joy to be like, oh, there's a need. Oh, you're here and you need a toothbrush. Guess what? I have a brand new one and I can give it to you. It gives me such joy to do that. But I think I can do that in moderation. Well, let's talk a little bit, Kathi, about teaching habits that build adults, going from control to coaching, and how that can help us with our clutter too.
Yes. So I may have told this story on here before, but it's worth repeating. When my daughter went to college for the first time, I asked, I checked in with her. Of course, every day I'm checking with her multiple times. She goes, I cannot believe my dorm mates. I said, well, what do you mean? What's going on? She said, none of them know how to do laundry. I'm like, what? I don't even understand that. And she had to learn to do laundry from a young age because, she had two households because her dad and I were divorced. And if she wanted clean clothes on the regular at her dad's, she had to do them. And I just realized, we are raising adults. We are not raising kids. We are raising kids to become adults. So we want to shift from control to coaching. So we want to raise these confident, responsible adults. And so it's easy when kids are little, especially, we're talking preschool, kindergarten. We need to micromanage some of it because they don't know. This is their first time being humans and we need to help them out. But once we can move from micromanagement to systems, and systems let kids be kids in that system, but also give them some guardrails. So things like we had a habit of every time I would pick up my kids, they would empty out anything in their backpack that either they needed to me to see or to sign, and they would throw it up on the front seat next to me, or things that need to be thrown away. Like, we don't need to keep the orange slices in a Ziploc bag in our backpack overnight, right? Like, we can get rid of that. So to really get into that habit where after a while they weren't fighting me anymore, I would put on music and they would go through it. I'm like, you're either going to have to do this now or you're going to have to miss out on computer time when we get home. So they were very motivated in the car. Then packing the lunch the night before. And so if you have it easy, so that it's very easy grab and go, that they can dump out their lunch boxes and they can fill them with a couple of nutritional things and a couple of things that they're going to love. And they have some autonomy, but you're giving them choices about what they can do. And we say, okay, we're going to do 2 healthy things and we're going to do a treat and a drink. What are you going to choose? And so giving them the options within limited parameters. And the other thing that I'm a big believer in is picking out clothes the night before. And it's something I still struggle with. Here I am, like I said, Gen X. But when I pick, before I go to bed, I say, Kathi, if you pick out your clothes the night before, if you pick them out before you crawl into bed, it's going to make your day 7% better. Why wouldn't I want my day to be 7% better? We don't want to teach our kids that their motivation in the morning is panic. We want them to have a smooth entry into school.
That is so convicting, Kathi, because I feel that. I know that morning panic, where you're looking for the shoe, you're looking for the sports uniform seem to be the worst. Like, where is the shin guard? Because we didn't have a system. I didn't feel equipped at the time to do that. And I was just flying by the seat of my pants. But, looking at it, I thought, oh, it's too much effort to invest in that system. But then I look at all of the effort that was being taken from me that was really out of my control, trying to manage the chaos that emerged. And you have got some brilliant tips that are quick wins. So for those families who think, yeah, that's us, we are on the struggle bus every morning, we're looking for, something, and somebody's griping at somebody, and somebody's out in the driveway honking the horn or saying the bus is here or whatever it is, you have some ideas for some quick wins and some things to let go.
Okay, so we're going to go through this really, really quickly. If you have not started school yet, each family member, can you get rid of 3 things daily for the next 10 days until school starts, especially in high traffic areas? So maybe that's where the backpacks get dropped, or maybe mom and dad are working in the kitchen and the kids are saying, you know what, I'm trying on the clothes in the laundry room that don't fit me anymore, and we're going to donate those. Getting rid of those things, what you're doing is you're lowering the barrier to being on top of things. An emergency breakfast basket. What if a couple of mornings a week, because we had kids who had to be at opposite schools at the same time on a couple of days a week. Maybe that is the day where it's granola bars and shelf-stable milk. It's those fruit pouches and something, a treat like a jar of coffee or something like that. Just a couple of quick wins. And then we're going to let go of Pinterest right now. You are not performing for anybody in your house. Okay. Pinterest can be great about time-saving ideas, but oftentimes Pinterest is about spending more time for the illusion of time. We're going to let go of all of that. All right. So we're going to talk about all of this. I thank you for mentioning the challenge over in Kathi Lipp's Clutter-Free Academy group, because we really want to help you get on top of this. It's a free group, and we're going to get you some check marks. We want some easy wins for you.
And you have had a lot of our listeners join, so you are not alone. I don't want you to think, if you're listening, that, it's just me, this is my problem. No, let me tell you, I am on the struggle bus with you, and there are so many people finding help and hope through this. And Kathi, those are great things. And that's really something that was very helpful to me. I had an emergency go pack in the back of my car, and it had things like a Tide stick, it had a water bottle, it had like something that was, would stay in the car that they could eat for lunch, like a power bar or something like that. It had a pen and some paper, just like some of those things that I felt like I would need. A hairbrush in case I turned around and looked, and during those elementary school days, you think you did not brush your teeth. I had some like little toothbrushes just so that I wouldn't. Yes, so that I wouldn't turn around and say, oh my gosh, and do I have to go home, and what am I going to do? But just having that emergency bag and saying, okay, this is what it is. And maybe, this isn't what you would like to have for lunch. Maybe that will be motivation for you to not forget your lunch tomorrow. Because again, what you're talking about is so important in helping set our kids up for success. Well, I think, again, Kathi, you give us such encouragement, because you have some encouraging messages to leave us with, because I think sometimes, we get all energized and we think, okay, yes, I'm going to do the back to school. You can't do it perfectly, but we can do it well. So what is your final word of encouragement?
You don't have to do this all in one weekend, right? You're building systems, not stress. And I think that's the thing I'm going to leave you to take away with this. This is a process, and you're going to learn more each and every year. So know your family, know yourself, and know what's going to support your family.
That is so great. And it's not about being perfect. It's about being healthy. No. What works for your family? What life stage are you in? What are your kids' temperaments? What is it like? I mean, I know, Kathi, when my boys were really involved in sports, like I just knew my car was going to be messy. Like that's just the way that it was going to be. I was going to be constantly working on, grass stains on baseball pants and all of those things, but it was okay. It's not about our stuff. It's about the people who are in our house. And so thank you, Kathi, again, for this episode of the Declutter Diary. Stay tuned. Next month, we'll continue because I have a lot more in my life to declutter. And one of the first things is getting rid of those boxes of toilet paper in my garage. And Kathi, you talked about your satin jacket. For me, it was saddle shoes. Anybody remember saddle shoes? And a leather bomber jacket. Now that has come back around and my kids think my clothes are cool all of a sudden. So that didn't help me get rid of them. But listen, wherever you are in your clutter journey, I hope that you find your way over to Kathi Lipp's Clutter-Free Academy. And I hope and pray that the Lord will bless you and keep you and make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you and give you peace, even in the middle of clutter. We'll see you tomorrow.